Yo, 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 it's ODB, Our Lifestyle Podcast. First flip through of 2022, I think. And we're going to jump right in. This is issue 43 of MiniTruckin Magazine. July 95, great year, great issue. Got a couple cool tie-ins that we'll mention here as we jump in. Want to remind you that if you see this at a show, you can pick up these metal signs. We can't really ship these because they're too big. And I've got that one displayed for now. When we give them to you at shows, of course, they have these pretty cool little things to make sure they don't get scratched. But some of our shirts are still available on the website and other merchandise, including stickers. This is the original River Run artwork. It's Total Chaos, of course. And then we do have the River Run remix, which is our new stuff. But like I said, let's jump in here. Issue 43, I think we're on. And it's a good one. So what I'm going to do, zoom back into the normal view. This truck, Too Many Mods, is owned by Lucky. And Lucky has acquired it over the years. We've had Lucky on as a guest. Starbuck painted it. Again, pretty cool stuff. And I loved the insert photo here is Easter Spring Splash. And if you recall, I think it was the last issue we went through, that Isuzu pup on the cover. I mentioned that was the one cover that club had. And I released, I think it's footage from that actual event because of the VHS that I have from Steve Nielsen. So big ups. As we jump in here, I want to say rest in peace. We lost two great people this past week, Alex, and there was another gentleman off the top of my head. I don't recall his name. He was from Forbidden Fantasy, so I do apologize. We'll cover that on the podcast next week. We had Alex on a year ago. Great episode. A lot of people were talking about it. He's a really great dude, and he's going to be missed, man. He really will. So to all the fallen folks, kinfolk in our scene, rest in peace. All right, so right here you've got Ruben repping Sir Michael's at that time. You can see the RA logo on the back topper. Sport truck era, baby. So I think GMC trucks, of course, on the windshield. And then the TOC table of contents. If you've been watching all of these, you know we don't really talk about the volume and number because it's too confusing. I just go by the numbering system that I came up with, which is 1 through 269, easier. Over 2,700 minis gather at the Colorado River for Spectrum Minis annual event. And then here, Mike, I know I stole this truck from Brian and I don't care, Shartsis, another cover. Stillwell is still the editor. We'll talk more about that. As I've said, as we get closer to the first transition to Shartsis down the road. So you got the editorial. I think I mentioned I have been using a light. However, this is on Sunday in between a few things I got going on, so don't need the light. There's good lighting right now. And I'm out here curating some sport truck magazines and just trying to get the year going with more content, what people love. Okay, this was pretty cool. I always like this, meet the staff. So you got a young Shartsis there. You got Courtney, rest in peace, Sean Carlson. Some of the others, including Lance there. Tracy Douglas. Art director Joel Chadwick. You can kind of see there when they're shooting the last cover. Looks like the Isuzu pup, kind of some product placement there with the license plate. I think later on, of course, they did a lot of just, digital enhancements with that. This was always a cool photo. I think that Shartsis there. You see he's got the old school Truckin shirt on. Stuff is so classic these days. There's his truck. And, of course, these were his rides and the rendering there. And it looks like, I think this was Christina who we're friends with. I think we did the, right there. Christina, I think that was before her name changed. we did the I did the sit down interview with her for All Time Low magazine. This one's tough here. Look at that smile, Sean Carlson. Look at how things were different back then with the computer, the discs and things like that. Of course, the clothing, the white shirts, that smile, that hat. Really gone too far, way too, ahead of his time. We all say that. That, of course, you got Craig Fraser, Air Syndicate. We've shared this one before. I think when I shared it the first time, Craig said, man, I forgot even doing that. Of course, we had Sean's brother, Travis, on. Much love to the Carlson family. Great people. This is one thing I always remember about reading or flipping through some of these issues. I wasn't a subscriber at this time. I had a few. My friends had some. But I always remember, and I always liked seeing the different projects that Courtney had planned. And of course, some of this stuff would come to fruition, some wouldn't. Of course, you see there, Air Syndicate. But rest in peace, Courtney Hallowell, a young Courtney there. And I'm trying to remember if this was, I don't think this was Chris Schmitz. I think this was a MiniTruckin truck, I think. Because Chris Schmitz was featured when it was black, and then of course it was so, but there weren't many Sonomas that were nice. But so young there. I've said this before, this is really, really, really a good stretch of magazines from 95 to, 97 through 99-ish. I mean, there's just a lot of classic trucks that we all remember. Very iconic. Great content. Of course, you could see still black and white. That, it's still a ways before they go all color. We'll talk about that when we first get to that issue. Stage 1, John Tondro and crew. You got Rubens on the right. And Marchese's Nissan with the billet grill. Mentioned that a couple times. If you haven't checked out the podcast, the last episode is the one you want to start with. Mike Collins, who owns Skybody. And, dude, Skybody was on the 10th anniversary cover, September 98. And then, of course, BMC, Brian McCormick, shot it, and it ran in issue 6, I think it was. But, dude, that's the one to start with. Very similar to last year. Rest in peace, Alex Anderson. Alex who? Last year's we came out of the gate swinging. I think this year we did too. A lot of history about Skybody. And then, of course, I guess I need to pay attention in these issues if anybody happens to know. I didn't have it in my database. Mike Collins had mentioned how Skybody made another appearance, so we may have even passed it in terms of the year and month. Like in some show coverage, maybe just a chassis or... as it was starting to get rebuilt. That, again, was not noted in my database that I have created. Bonsai. I always loved this type of show coverage because it's just boom, boom, boom. You got, truck. It's all color, good content, stuff that you would go back and easily look at this. If this was show coverage, I'd be like, dude, like these colors, they stick out. Great layout. I guess is what I'm looking for. But again, going back to Skybody, check out those body mods, dude. With the split. Mike needs to do that right there on the Mazda. But I keep getting sidetracked. With Skybody, he did mention that it made another cameo appearance, if you will, in the magazine after I think he said after July 98 when it was on the cover. I was just looking at that issue, so it kind of comes to mind. They basically took 3 trucks, Last Look, Skybody, and Ballistic, and they included those on the cover for the 10th anniversary. As you guys know, we went through issue 1, which was technically 88. So fast forward to 98, you basically had 10 years of existence. And I forget, this might have been Courtney's truck. For some reason, it seems like it was a MiniTruckin kind of build truck. 5-ish. My 94 S10 had, it was bare bones, but it had the same kind of bezel and the very basic stuff. And I remember reading tech articles in here, and it's like, you could get the little billet overlays for this, and the glove box was boom. It was just super simple stuff. The 94, I remember Mike Self wrote in Street Trucks about it. Kind of the 94, although it was the new body style, it was kind of the last of the Mohicans because it didn't have a lot of the safety stuff. It didn't have airbag. It had the basic steering column. And 95, there were a lot more changes with, OBD2, I think it was, and some of the stuff that was required, like airbags and different things like that. But man, sometimes I wish I could find my 94 like in a stock version. I had a chance to buy one late last year. I ran into one in Clearwater, and I looked under the hood, and it looked like it had like an engine that I wasn't expecting. It had like a V6. I don't know if it was like a leftover engine, and they did that for 94. But anyways, I'd love to find another 94 if you know of one, preferably regular cab. This is Brian Van Nuys Cali, 92 Isuzu Amigo Night Stalker. Sean Carlson wrote it and did the photos. Kind of has that Hawaiian vibe to it that I sometimes talk about. Alpha McLean Cruiser. So I talked about this truck recently. You can see the chop shop, Courtney, his name tied to it. Just had exchanged some comments back and forth with Gendro. I think we're going to be able to get him on very, very soon. He was at Mike Collins' house for the weekend. And Mike, when he got home from work, was like, yeah, Brian was, came out to the truck when we were finishing the interview. Old school, your standard setup. The 65 Lincoln Tony just got, if you follow my Lincoln Addict YouTube channel, it has a tank like this, and these were the old days, right? I mean, just the dual needle gauges. Many of us kind of started there with air suspension. Wide open, RC engineering, good product placement, good tech articles. And believe it or not, this is Mike's truck, not Mike. Barcia. Or as some people call him, Barcia. It's like, really? Shout out to Mike Barcia. He doesn't live that far from here. He's always, my understanding, always lived in the Tampa Bay area. And you can see this is purple haze. You got the neons. Tampa. This is, believe it or not, his Isuzu purple haze back in the day. Way before I ever knew him. Years before I knew him, I guess. This truck, I think, was featured once or twice, maybe just once, but it was starting to be rebuilt, and then it was in, his enclosed trailer or whatever for a long time, and I don't know if he's moved on from it or what, but that's it from the Tampa Bay area. Now, of course, he's a negative camper. Okay, so this always was one of my favorite trucks. I love how basic the interior is. In that era, this is all you needed. Some tweed, some gauges, billet, a little bit of billet. The paint job to me, but I think because it has a topper, I always love toppers. The first truck that ever got me into MiniTruckin, Chris Lopez's here locally, had a topper. It's one reason why I went with the topper. Of course, you can see there the seats are back with the walkthrough. Billet wheels. Just a really, really, really cool truck. And again, too many mods. Owned by Lucky now. Doug Starbuck painted it. We had Doug on last year, and it was honestly one of our top, 5 to 10 episodes. And I say that because a lot of our episodes are, 5 or 10, streams / downloads away from being, quote, the top episode. So they're all pretty much neck and neck. I mean, 5 or 10 difference. But Doug Starbuck, that one was one of my favorite episodes ever. Doug had mentioned, I go, what do you think your name's attached to maybe 30 or 40 covers? He's like, man, I counted just from my wall 77 or something. So, dude, true OG. Of course, he's tied to this, and it's cool that that truck continues to live on, so to speak. See some readers' rides. This is the real old school MiniTruckin. And then kind of here like a 94-ish. That's what mine had. The basic grill. But it's pretty cool now that a lot of us have been in the scene for a long time, or the scene's been around so long, that some of those styles that kind of went away, you know, it's crazy to me. Some of these pages will post like stuff that I look back and go, I wasn't a fan of the offset wheels or this or that, but nostalgia wins out. Nostalgia wins out almost every time. And, you know, there's stuff like I cringe at some of the paint jobs from that era. You know, the stuff that to me isn't even really back, so to speak, but you know, they'll get 4,000 or 5,000 likes on some of that stuff, and again, nostalgia wins. Here's Peachy Clean. You can't go wrong with the B2000 or 2200. This is an 89. Chandler, color match wheels, topper, extra cab or cab plus. Real nice layout by Lance. Courtney shot it. And then boom, you start to get into some straight heat right here. Spring Splash 95. A lot of our West Coast kinfolk, you know, they were at these events. Look, Mark from Extreme Lows. Bob Haze. You know, your old school river runs had some volleyball going on. Speaking of, I don't know a lot about Kane. I know there's, you know, a lot to be said about Kane, I believe, but he passed away, I think it was last year, so rest in peace to him. Hack Shack, I think it was. You know, Hack It, many of us remember those ads, or, you know, just that shop. Here you see the Isuzu with the tilt bed. Cleaning. This is in the era when everybody started to go, you know, they wanted to be the lowest, and you started to see some crazy frame stuff. A lot of body drops, you know, of course, the jet skis at the river runs. Was up. A lot of different, look at how many events. But I'm going to wrap this up because I've got to run and meet Howard from Severed, Florida. He's coming down. Shout out to Ryan from Graphics Mafia. He helped pick something up for me the other day, which I'll be talking about on my Lincoln Addict podcast, or channel, rather, on YouTube. So check it out, Lincoln Addict, just search. Here you've got Brian's 85 S10. Street Scene, still continuing the tradition. This one, Northport, Florida. We saw this one around here, especially in old show coverage. Look, that pool table dough. You know, you're at the show and your buddy starts talking shit like, hey, yeah, I can play some pool. I'll whip your ass. And you go, hold on. Let's go over to the truck. You ready to shoot a game? And then you take them out. And you go, yeah, quit talking shit. Sorry for the language, y'all. It's Sunday. I'm ready to get going. And it's 12:20. Love finding these, man. It just shows how well these were kept. I guess, you know, you could say that. Just, you know, I always left those in too, unless they thought about the grocery store. But again, I'm going to wrap this up. It's about 20 minutes. What's in the CD changer? Top 5 reasons for putting a bra on your Mini. Notable quotables. CD changer. Friday, original motion picture soundtrack though. Dr. Dre, Sam Snead produced Ring Ding Dong, Ring a Ding 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 Dong. That classic. And then early 96, Dre was gone. He's out of there. There you go. Ad index, this was pretty cool. You know, if you're in the grocery store and you were looking for, you know, U.S. Neon Corp, boom, you could look real quick. Of course, you didn't have a phone to take a photo of the ad. But SPL 160. Remember those. But hey, great issue. Thanks to everybody that's come before us to create this awesome content that we can always refer back to, our history in this scene. Stay on the rise, y'all. It's 2022. No brakes. Get sideways and keep it legal. Later, y'all. Peace.